Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a special edition of the Adventures in Collecting podcast. Dave and I just wrapped with the G.I. Joe team as part of a roundtable featuring some other really great blogs from around the toy blogging world. What you're about to hear is 90 minutes of G.I. Joe news and intel, if you will. You're going to hear from the folks over at His Tank, Toy Insider, Action Figure Insider, the Full Force podcast. You're going to hear a bunch of familiar voices talking to Lenny and Emily, including Dave and myself. So I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to kick it over to the interview. Yo, Joe, and enjoy.
Yo, Joe!
First off, congratulations, guys.
Thank
on
you.
The HasLab. Oh my goodness. It's like over 10.5K at the moment. So yeah, keep that going. You guys must be really happy first and foremost, but I'll get stuck into the questions. So my first question is regarding the development reveals. It's going to be twofold, but obviously I'm not saying like I'm having two questions. It's just a couple of things involved with it. So it's like I said, it's been a heck of a month full of reveals, pre-orders, the HasLab. I mean, it's ridiculous. You introduced the new development reveals into kind of the process for these events, where you kind of tell us that, a couple of characters are coming each week, and so on and so forth. We didn't get to on the last one. So that was my first part, is when will we find out about that? And could it be on this particular roundtable? And obviously, the other thing attached to that is, what was the reasoning behind that? Was there a reason you wanted to do these development reveals? Was it to kind of get ahead of leaks, that sort of thing? So yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sorry. I'm just messaging Lenny on the side to say, which characters do we want to tell you about today? Lenny, I sent you a list. You can pick which two you would like to.
We told them about everybody but two.
Have we? Then perfect. Those might be the two. Or do you want to pick different ones?
We'll just say two random ones.
You want me to do it now?
Well, I mean, hold your horses.
We all know it's Lightfoot and Ice Cream Soldier. We know it's both of those. So
getting all redecos of Light.
We pulled an Ice Cream Soldier from the archives, and it's been behind us for the entire month. Yeah, I really like that one.
That's what I like to hear.
Lenny, here are 3 more options for you.
Can you send them to all of us?
Oh yeah, I know the one to tell you guys, so that the community gets off my back.
You're never going to get off your back. Doesn't matter.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ripper.
Oh yes.
Heck yeah.
And then we're going to do a Firefly.
Okay.
Another Firefly.
Okay.
Interesting.
And I can say that he's brand new sculpt, everything, new parts and pieces, whole 9 yards.
But is he lime green? That's the big question.
Yes.
Yes.
No. He's not lying. We're not going to go that one. Not yet. Like I said,
Someday.
every single G.I. Joe is on the table. We want to kind of like embody all those old school designs and then reiterate them into the classified world. So even the crazy beachhead with the blue mask on, we'll get to him. We'll get to him eventually. I still have him. We'll get to him. It's just, matter of time. But I think the Firefly, Emily, can I give details on him?
No.
Yeah,
No,
you can.
yeah,
The whole thing.
Character.
I never know how to handle that one.
You get to be excited about it. For the record, I do have that beachhead sitting at my desk at work, and I love him. But from a kind of a pragmatic approach to this, we get really excited about the things that we're working on, and we have such a long development pipeline that, as you can tell, Lenny and I are not the best at wanting to keep secrets about what we're working on. And maybe we don't always put a picture of them on a birthday cake to tell you exactly what to expect in your future HasLab offering. But we think that we know that the G.I. Joe fan community is so amazingly passionate about all of the projects that we're working on that we wanted to kind of share some of that joy with you as early as possible and to get you excited, because we know that in all of the sessions that we do or whenever we put things up on Instagram, people are always saying, when is so-and-so coming to the classified line? And so to be able to say like, okay, you will see these characters next year in the line is really exciting, even if we don't have like actual pictures to show you of anything yet.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you. And congratulations on an amazing job. So I mean, it's been a great month. Also, hello guys to everyone on the stream. It's good to see you all again. I love these events, and and also a big shout out to Emily and Lenny for making me go with them to the cinema to watch the movie. It was amazing. So guys, I had so much fun. You guys are the best. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And just so that everybody knows, if you do have Hiss Tank centric questions that we have not approached anywhere, I brought a friend with me for the interview.
Oh, it's so pretty. Beautiful.
What are we saying for size comparisons? I really want to start doing a segment that's like other things that are 19 inches long, or like this is approximately the same size as. So today's approximation is French Bulldog. Yeah.
Nice. Kitten for scale?
Kitten, where is it for scale?
You got to put him in the turret or something.
Somewhere, yeah.
I think it's 18. It's 18 and change, but we can't say the change because the change isn't enough. And then it's 12 and change high. It's big.
It's big. And I think it's one of those things where when you see it in pictures and you see the figure next to it, you're like, oh, okay. But then when
we never told everybody
like this thing, it's
the width is probably, I'd say the width is like 10 inches wide, so it fits on a shelf.
Don't quote him on that.
Hey, but that's a great figure that you have the box for.
Are you kidding me? This figure's on point.
Yeah, it's amazing. Great figure.
Yeah.
It'll be a little wider after the add-on that just got unlocked.
Oh yeah.
Well, I am so the first. I'm not kidding when I say that the first time I saw model videos of this, I cried because we had been working so hard on this for so long, and to see that moment where you know that you worked on something and it's going to be amazing. That's the moment that we got to have with that. It was like 2 a.m. Our Asia team sent videos over, and I was just like, "This is the most beautiful thing ever." But and so discovering all of those little details, even though we helped with all of that creation with our amazing, oh my God, HasLab team, holy smoke, they knocked it out of the park. But Lenny and I have also spent a lot of time looking at this and thinking about the features, and there's something so different from concepting it in your mind and logically knowing what it is to getting to hold the rockets and pull them out to extend them to make them come out. You're like, oh, this is nice.
All right. Guys, I just want we both want to echo Chris's sentiments. I mean, absolutely fantastic launch of this this HasLab. You couldn't. I don't think it was possible to have done it any better. Down to the presentation video with Cobra Commander. Just the perfect way to cap off a Yojo June. So seriously, congratulations! It's no small feat.
Thank you. While we're on that compliment train, by the way, I just wanted to point out that although we talked about Mark from HasLab being the designer for this, we actually have 2 Marks from HasLab. We have a plethora of Marks. And our other Mark was our brand writer, and he wrote all of the scripts, he wrote all of the e-com copy, he's writing all of the social copy for us, and he spent so much time trying to get into Cobra Commander and Destro's brains to figure out how they would react to this. And so I just wanted to make sure that he got lots of props for that, because people have been very, very excited about it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the Instagram posts as Cobra Commander. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
Dangerous headspace to get into.
Right? Yeah. Definitely showing up in meetings, being, real full of himself. Just kidding. He's the sweetest guy ever.
So for our first question is about the Hiss Tank. So what were the determining factors that led you to go with the Hiss Tank as this first project? I mean, there are as everyone on this call is intimately familiar with, there are a lot of different vehicles and
Swamp Masher,
and playsets.
Battle Barge.
The flag. I mean, we could like the options are just really endless.
Rolling
really,
Thunder. We should have did Rolling Thunder first.
Hey, well, listen. Now that we have this, the armadillo better be next. I'm just saying.
I think
saying.
Price, doability, iconic.
We wanted to trade off because we did a Joe last time, and we wanted to do a Cobra this time. We frequently get accused of being very pro Cobra on this team, which we are. But we wanted to make sure that we were treating both sides nicely.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Cobra 2 is you're going to get iconic vehicles that Hasbro is created from the ground up, right? So his tank and all that. So it's kind of like our, it doesn't fly, but it's like our TIE fighter in a lot of ways. So it's kind of got brand recognition. Like everybody knows the headlights, everybody knows that silhouette. And that kind of played a lot into the design too. So my role was more like a licensor on this. So it was like this weird kind of not weird, but really cool experience to work with other people who got embraced the brand. But it was like, it's classified. So we're walking this line of how much do you upgrade? How much do you not? In particular, the Going Doors, we had a very, very long conversation with Going Doors. And I liked them. You guys notice I like change. But then at the same time, but do other people like change? You know what I mean? So, but I think from we had to keep it iconic looking to the point earlier. So from a design standpoint, the choices come from all those things I just mentioned earlier. And then because it's classified, what do you do to it to make it classified, but not alienate or change it so much with people? It's that's not a his thing.
And I feel like I can say this because I'll be the one who gets in trouble if I say it. But for those of you who may not care for change, you'll probably really like Unlock number 2 that will be revealed relatively soon. Noodle on that one. But yeah, I think that it's been so much fun to kind of watch this come to life, and that it is truly an iconic vehicle. And as Lenny said, it is very ownably G.I. Joe. We wanted to go out with something that you couldn't, there's no way that you're going to find a non-IP or a non-branded version of this that's out there somewhere. This is not a generic tank. This is a his tank. And so I think that was really fun for us to get to say this is something that nobody has, which has been amazing. I mean, I have one. It's sitting on my kitchen table, but
Emily, can we mention some of the candidates that didn't make it, or is that too much information?
No, I would not say the candidates that didn't make it, because then we'll give away the game.
Oh, that's true.
But I appreciate you. But I will say one of the things that we are considering is, as we mentioned, in terms of width of this thing, we want to make sure that the vehicles that we are growing to classified scale are reasonable for you to have in your homes. I've commented, I love people's enthusiasm for USS flags. I really do. But a classified flag, we did some numbers. It would be 20 feet long and I could stand inside of it. That is not reasonable. That is like a tiny house.
Yeah, we even ran the numbers on a basic one, not basic, an original one. And dude, inflation, not even current inflation, not even this crazy world we live in. Before that, we had run some numbers on it, and it's it's not 1983 anymore.
It doesn't pass any current QA standards. We'd have to redesign it from the ground up to make sure that if you stepped in the middle of it, the whole thing wouldn't collapse.
You have to be able to surf on it.
Yeah, which could also be fun. But so I think there are elements of realism that we are looking for with our choices, and it's not just necessarily it's not like this is exactly 2 times bigger than the original Hiss. Oh, I have a Hiss 3 on my bookshelf. I can go get them and show them to you side by side so that you can actually see what the 3.25 one looks like.
It's interesting. The Hiss tank scale, it's actually not doubled. It's a little more than double. I know that it sounds weird because the 3 3/4 inch figures to then go up to a 6-inch scale, but Duke is 6.3 inches tall. So that's our base figure height for males. And then the Hiss tank drivers, like I mentioned to you guys when we were designing them, I was like, I wanted to be a big dude because of some of the stuff we were reading that like they're brawlers. So they're actually about the size of Bazooka. Bazooka is like 6'5" and change. So it fits bigger than that. So it fits, I'm not going to say who it fits, but because I'm not sure what the answer is, but it does fit bigger characters than Bazooka.
And we wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to really have anybody driving it that you wanted to.
Yep. But it won't fit everybody, but it will fit larger characters.
And I think too, one of the things that's interesting about this, because prior to the launch of any kind of HasLab, and obviously the discussion of vehicles has been forefront, since the launch of the line. I know, like a lot of people were saying, like, oh, a HISS tank that would, that could potentially fly at retail. And I think now that we're seeing how big a HISS tank would actually be, it gives us collectors a frame of reference of like, okay, so this is too big for retail. So, now we know in, kind of in the G.I. Joe canon and the existing, vehicles, we know the ones that are smaller, how they kind of could potentially fit into, future situations.
And we're studying it too, right? It's like classified. If we make a classified vehicle that is scaled and priced, but not built right, that's not a classified vehicle. Right. So like the HISS tank, it's built right. Like G.I. Joes have always been built right. Yeah, I remember the sandwich from back in the day, but even that was done in a engineering, intelligent way to keep the cost right, but at the same time make the quality high. So we want to maintain that. It's kind of like part of brand tenets. So we don't want to just like make something dumbed down so we can get it for a price. I feel like that's not the right thing to do. We should make a high quality product rather than a, like dumbed down vehicle, if you would.
And I think that even in my mind, G.I. Joe products are, and I mean, many, many other toys are too, designed very purposefully, where there are reasons why each of these things are kind of done. But in my mind, the difference between, like, say, a HasLab and, say, maybe a cheaper vehicle that you would be able to buy at mass is that HasLabs are really collector pieces. They are beautiful. They are dream items. And odds are you are not going to be driving your $299.99 HISS tank up and down your driveway because you want to play with it in the dirt. Not usually what you do with. I mean power to you. If you want
speak for yourself. I mean, that's what I'm going to do.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. But I think that there's, how
I'll be playing with Justin's $299.99 HISS tank in the mud.
Perfect.
Come on over anytime.
I think that there is to me there is a difference between like what are higher end collectors items like the HISS tank and what are things that are made for kind of crash and bash play. And I mean, this would stand up to crash and bash play. I just don't know if you want to spend this much money on it and then run it into walls, or let your children run it into walls. You can run it into walls. No judgment for what you like to do with your toys in your spare time. You can do whatever you would like.
Dustin, that's it for our first question.
All right, 30 minutes later, on to the next person.
Sorry.
That's okay. Let's see. On this list over here, Jaron, you are next.
Hello, Jaron with Anything Joe's. It's great to finally get with you guys. It's been phenomenal to see how you have kind of joined the brand and ushered in a new era of Joe. It's been phenomenal. I guess going along with the HasLab, this being the first Joe HasLab, I know that the HasLab team's been very busy doing other things. It's been the first classified, HasLab. Mm-hmm. Do you guys go into it with a price point in mind and think, okay, well, how packed in can we get this? How many things can we do with this price point in mind? Or do you go into it with let's design this crazy cool thing and we'll work out numbers and kind of go from there?
Yeah, I think that we went into this with a little bit of both as a mindset. So, when Unicron came out and when the Sail Barge came out, like those were enormous items with huge price tags, but those lines had established collectors who there were items that weren't necessarily that high a price point, but they had kind of tested the waters to see like, okay, these Transformers collectors, Star Wars collectors will buy those $200-$300 items if they are dream items. With the classified series, because we are such a baby line, we don't have anything like that, guys. Like this was something that was totally new to us. So we wanted to make sure that for classified, we weren't going out of like our first foray into this was not like a $500, $600 like gigantic, spectacular sort of thing. We wanted to keep it a little bit more reasonable. And especially considering that his tanks are first and foremost troop builder vehicles, we didn't want it to be, it is expensive, I will admit, but it's not prohibitively expensive. It's not like saying one of these will be $1,000, but if you want your army, it's really going to be $5,000, you know? And so I think that keeping that kind of price point in mind, we were able to kind of think about what size vehicles we'd be able to scale up at that price point to make them, to be able to make them in a way that felt purposeful and beautiful and detailed. We didn't want to half-ass anything, I guess, if for lack of a better term. Sorry, Whitney, for saying that. But like, I think that we wanted to make sure that we were proud of the work that we were doing and that we felt good about this and that we thought that all of you in the Joe community would also feel good about this. Does that seem okay, Lenny?
It seems right on the money.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. Thank you. Also, I want to call out that ladder inlaid on the side. The red ladder is beautiful. Absolutely. One of my favorite pieces. I know it's something small, but that little touch with the contrast, absolutely amazing. You guys,
that was
there is a ladder on both sides.
Perfect. Even better.
So part of that design came from, I forget the type of helicopters they were looking at as inspiration, but it was kind of like, you know, the guy's got to get in and out. And when we were working together, it was like the go. So the reason why I was like, you know what? Yes, we're doing the going doors, because when we talk about classified, when we put the greeble and all that on them, we're like, what do they use as a soldier or as a military or a scientist, whatever their role is. And we thought about the same thing with the HISS tank driver. It's like, they got to get in and out of that thing. So do they have to open the canopy every time, or maybe there's a quicker way to get into it? And then also Mark was very, like, there's a lot of this empty space. It's like, what is this empty space for? Right. And he's like, I'm like, well, I mean, I think it was just a design element they did back in the day. And he's like, we got to use that empty space and because I kept on telling him, like, make it real, make it feel like it's real. And he goes, okay, well, if it was real, it'd probably be a ladder on the side so the guy can get it in and out. He's not going to climb up on the treads. So Mark basically built that design out of that. He actually, something to note, we're going to be putting like textures and mold etching on that too. So it feels a little less toy. So there'll probably be like a texture to it at the end of the day. So
really cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, Fran, I'm going to call on you next because your outlet is called HISS Tank. So I just feel like you probably should have been first, but you're up, Fran.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, dude?
Thanks for having me in the meeting. Congratulations. You know, the fans are going crazy. We're loving it. There's been a lot of clarification questions floating around about the Ron Brudat figure.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to know whether that will be included with each purchase or you just get one. Just a clarification of that.
Great question. So you will get as many Ron Brudat figures as you have purchased tanks. So each tank order will come with a HISS tank driver and now a Ron Brudat Cobra HISS tactician figure. We know that pictures of Ron's color studies were posted on HISS tank. Thanks, Fran.
Oh, they were? Cool.
And they're we love them. We think that they're really fun. They were published in one of Dan's books, so pretty well known in the community if you've looked through those books. But we will be posting those on social, let's say by next Monday. We'll give ourselves a little
Ron's were posted, not mine.
No, Ron's were posted, not Lenny's.
Cool.
So what we'll be posting on our social channels will be Lenny's versions of Ron's color studies made into classified figures.
Cool.
Everybody can get to see what those look like. So
we gave everybody 2 figures with the tank for $300 is what it really boils down to.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And so what you'll see is with the sorry, I'm just getting so many messages on the side. So what you'll end up seeing is those 6 different color studies. And then after the campaign finishes, we will all take a vote. So everybody who has backed a HISS tank will get to take a vote and pick which one you think should be made into the figure. And then the figure that wins the vote will be made into the actual classified figure.
Okay, great. I think everybody was just curious whether you were just getting one figure with if you ordered 5, you only got 1, or if you ordered 5, you actually got 1 with each tank.
Yes, that's a great clarification. And so the way that we're going to do it is basically everything is going to come in a gigantic box, and they will be packed in with each individual box. And then, what was I going to say? And it does not matter when you back in the campaign now, because we have already hit funding. So everybody who backs over the entire course of the campaign will get the figure. So basically, base offering now is the 2 figures and the tank. Plus, you get the cool unlock 1 mounted side rockets.
Is Ron Brudat doing the art for just the box of the figure, or is he doing the art for the entire his tank?
So he will be doing the box for specifically the Cobra His Tactician box. So like the individual figure box. So one of the things that we wanted to do, because we know that a lot of G.I. Joe collectors have their boxes out, whether it's artwork spine out or number spine out, we really wanted to make sure that you would be able to kind of capture the extra specialness of the campaign by having all of the figures come in boxes. They will be individually numbered in the classified series sequence. They will be one of the figures in the box will be a special number in the classified series sequence to encourage people to acquire. If they are completionists, they will be sad if they miss out on this figure.
Cool. Thank you. I have a lot more questions, but I'm sure someone else wants to go and get back to me in a couple minutes.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get to everybody at least twice. Let's go with Jeremy.
Hey guys, just want to say congratulations again, like everybody else did. Going back to the tactician figure, I actually wanted to ask about that. How did you guys settle on making that an exclusive week-long window? How involved was Ron in choosing that figure? And do you think that offering that week incentive really lit the fire under people to get it funded as fast as possible and make sure they get that figure?
Yes, I do. that adds a lot of incentive. I mean, if you have 7 weeks to back something and you think to yourself, I could back it on day 44, but then I only get 1 figure in a tank, or I could back it now. It still won't charge my credit card until the very end of the campaign, and I get 2 figures. I mean, it worked out pretty well for us, wouldn't you think? Yeah. So I think that it was about trying to find something that we thought would be a compelling offering, something that would be unique and interesting. We approached Ron to see if he would be willing to work with us on the project kind of after the direction had been decided. But he's so sweet. It's so much fun to hear him tell stories about what designing on the line was like back in the day. Or we brought in a bunch of classified figures with us and was like, okay, I designed this one and this one and this one and this one and this one. Oh, and like 175 other characters that you know and love at X, Y, and Z. So he's an absolute encyclopedia of G.I. Joe knowledge, and we are so lucky that we get to work with him. Got anything else, Lenny?
I'm thinking about time.
Oh, that's fair. I'm sorry. If you feel like I covered it, I apologize.
No, I think you did. Okay. Yeah, it was like I said in the stream. I think for me, it's just like a personal thing. Like this dude literally like designed all the Joes I played with, like between the run of when I was a kid and like, growing up and like when I was 18 to 24 years old in school and stuff, I didn't know who Ron Brudat was. And then when I got more into it and became a designer, I'm like, holy crap. And then I get to meet him. It was kind of like, I don't get starstruck because I feel like it's weird to do to people, but I was a little like starstruck talking to him, right? Because I'm like, this guy literally, like, unbeknownst to him, inspired somebody to want to do this for a living, right? So it was like, it was to something how Emily would say it, it was precious. It was a precious moment and it was awesome. It was very cool. So for me, it was more of like a personal thing, right? It was like, wow, like this is the guy that like made me want to do this thing. So it was cool.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Then next up, Matt, if you're ready.
I am. Hey guys, thanks so much. And like everyone said, congrats. It's pretty awesome to have it already funded and already in the stretch goals this quickly. And it was kind of talked about a little bit earlier about, going in with a mindset of trying to find a balance between iconic and a price point and trying to find scale and all those things. As far as price point goes, because it is kind of a popular topic with like what people can afford. And was there something like a particular item on the tank or in its development that you kind of had to kind of refine and change up kind of due to that price? Like maybe you had, wants to make it bigger or different, expand it, and you kind of just had to rein those in because you had that particular mindset in mind. Like you were trying to keep it at a certain price.
Yes.
How specific there was something in it that we like?
No, there's, so I will be purposefully vague about this, but what we had originally designed, we would have had to charge like $600 for. It was like, it was decked out to the nines. It was very fun. But that being said, I think that it was really important to us that we did keep that in a kind of more reasonable cost place for this kind of first HasLab for G.I. Joe. And that now that we know that there's more appetite for vehicles like this, there's also opportunities to do smaller vehicles for the line. There's opportunities to do bigger vehicles for the line. And so I think that this is really having this as basically proof to take to leaders at Hasbro to say, like, look, man, like that's obviously how I would talk to somebody high up at Hasbro. Look, man, look at how we did on this. Is I think it's a huge credit to the G.I. Joe community for making this happen. And I think will directly result in us having a lot more leeway to do other projects like this in the future.
Yeah, I think to add, from not telling you what we did, but to say where the philosophy went, it was, what are people going to do with it? Right. So it's like we had a lot of conversations like, what are you going to do with this large vehicle? It's because this is not apples to apples with Galactus and the Sentinels. Like we know what you're going to do with that, like posing and playing and all that. Right. So it's like, what are you going to do with this guy? So then that helped us determine the final feature set. If that helps kind of give where our brains were at. We're like, well, it doesn't need this, but it needs this.
And we do fun lab testing on projects like this. So we do bring fans in and say like, hey, what if we did a project like this? How would you rank these features? What would you be most excited about? What in this list would not necessarily appeal to you? And so that kind of combined with what we were seeing in development helped to inform ultimately what the feature set of the vehicle was.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey folks, how you doing? Thanks very much for inviting me to the show. And again, as everybody else has said, congratulations on the success of the HasLab. It's been pretty amazing to watch. Not just how quickly it funded, but that it was the quickest to fund is it's a credit to you guys. So I think I kind of want to touch on something that Lenny, you sort of brought up earlier in this conversation, and actually connects a little bit to your comments about releasing a Firefly figure. And sort of as the line has evolved into what it is now, there's obviously been sort of an aesthetic shift in G.I. Joe Classified, where we're looking more towards the vintage designs and a little bit further away from some of the modern elements that it started with. And obviously, I think that's the right choice because that has kind of coincided with a surge in popularity and success of things like the Tank HasLab. But do you envision that there's ever a scenario when you might revisit some of those more modern elements? And thinking of the Firefly, I was really a big fan of that original Firefly release, but it sounds like maybe you guys are going back to the well on that a little bit. But do you think there's ever an avenue where some of those modern elements might again make a return? From my personal perspective, I absolutely fell in love with that modern Storm Shadow that was revealed on GIJoe.com, and it never ended up coming to light. So just kind of curious about, from a design perspective, if you see an avenue to bring any of those elements back into it.
Yeah. I think so. One thing with the more classic look, like we were celebrating the 40th anniversary, so we were kind of peeling it back a little bit with the tech. Right. So it's like the 40th anniversary was rolling in. So it's like, okay, let's design a little closer to the original design. We definitely want to continue to push the design, go back a little bit to push the designs a little bit further, but ground them a little bit more. In the original kickoff of G.I. Joe Classified, we were in the mindset of trying to grab a new consumer as well. So like getting into a younger consumer base as with the high-tech details and stuff like that. Also, we were playing with missions. We knew we didn't want to start off with super classic designs because the mission at hand was dealing with Destro and this new tech, and we were kind of creating a narrative. So I think going into 22, whatever year we're in, because our schedules are all wacky, we went more classic because of the 40th anniversary. I think we're going to stay more rooted. I'm not going to say that we're going to be 100% classic, match the amount of pins or details on an old school figure, but 100% drawing more from the old school figure than we did in the past. Like there's certain types of way pants are worn, like the way somebody wears pants today as they wore them like 40 years ago, that we're going to take in consideration. Like, so stuff like that will be probably most likely modernized. Not in all cases though, because certain characters can't touch, like Mindbender. I think Mindbender is a really good example. Like, couldn't touch Mindbender. We actually did. We did one update to Mindbender where we put a little bit of tech on his monocle, and we did that because from a engineering standpoint, we needed to create a better peg for purchase on the face. So by making a more kind of like squared out kind of like tech piece, we were able to make a squared out piece on his face, which then connected it to the head. And it's discreet enough where it doesn't really mess with that old school feel. So I think a long story short really is we want to.
As long as you didn't touch the cod piece, Lenny, that's the main thing.
It's pristine. He's all made up.
Do not touch the cod piece. Thank you.
I think the point I'm trying to make is like we definitely are hearkening more grounded. We definitely want to push it a little bit because I think the brand deserves that. I think the brand deserves to have design and not just iterating what was done in the past. It's being inspired by it. And I feel like the line has always done that. Like when I was a kid, all the different iterations of all the different characters. And then every time a new designer touched it, they put so much more, like, not that so much more, but they were inspired by those before. So they pushed it to another place. And I think that's what gives it so much life. We don't get stuck in one aesthetic. We keep on going. However, classified, we know that there's a lot of love for some of these old school aesthetics. So we need to keep them. But at the same time, we're learning as we read comments and read a lot of criticism, how to do it, how to get it there. And we're going to miss sometimes, but we're really trying to like swing for the fence every time. So I feel like I'm rambling at this point, but yes and no. We are going to push, but we are going to stay grounded a little bit more.
Makes sense.
And I think that there's, as Lenny was mentioning, it's a constant evolution on G.I. Joe. We are not exactly the same brand as we were in the 60s or the 80s or the 90s or even 10 years ago. And I think that is one of the really beautiful things about G.I. Joe is that it kind of is a reflection of whatever the modern lens is, which is great.
It's a
more futuristic version of a modern lens. Yes, it is a fashion brand, which all I want are like 2-packs for G.I. Joe figures. I want them to come with bare feet, and I want to have like 20 different pairs of shoes that they can wear. So that's the dream.
And now, a word from our sponsors. And now, back to the show.
Hey, joining the congrats party. Just echoing what's all been said before. It's been an awesome, going on about 36 hours now. Kicking in on this HISS thing. So I'm going to skip over most of that. Though, on the Pro Cobra note, Emily, I was going to ask, the mailer box you guys sent us had the Baroness front and center, had Cobra Commander on the left, but only had Scarlet on the front. Then you go HISS Tank, 40th anniversary, but it's all about Cobra. So
we do like Cobra. Not gonna lie, we won't lie to you at this point. We do really like Cobra. They have the coolest outfits, guys. They're crazy. They have amazing stuff.
It's a villain thing, but so let's veer off of the HISS for a second and kind of continue a conversation that we've had earlier this year about the ongoing rollout of the plastic-free packaging. And the reason I'm going into this is because we know from our readership at Toy Book and Pop Insider, the stuff we've already posted about plastic-free packaging has become evergreen. So many people are interested in this. And earlier this month, I was actually at the Astra Marketplace and Academy. which is all of the independent toy stores, some of which are stocking classified along with other Hasbro 6-inch products. And retailers were specifically asking about the plastic-free initiatives. And what I'm curious about is, has there been any feedback to you guys over the past couple months that has sort of evolved into any inline changes looking forward as you're building out your plastic-free model based on consumer concern? Because retailers seem very concerned about having to retrain their customers. But on the flip side, there's also an added bonus, which it seems like a lot of e-tailers are interested in having packages without the windows on them. How has it evolved since we last spoke 2-3 months ago?
Yeah, I think that with all things, it is kind of a continuing evolution of learning and processes on all of the brands. And that on one of the things that we think that it's an amazing opportunity for on G.I. Joe is to get to try something new and to really have that. We love the really cool classified series artwork that our team has been creating, getting to highlight so many artists. And I know that I've said this again, but having that many artists with that many different art styles really kind of gets to highlight the diversity of the G.I. Joe universe. And so for me, I love getting to see more of that on art or more of that on package. And then you actually get to see the full poster instead of kind of the cutout that used to be on the side of pack. I think it's also interesting from a layout perspective in that it was a challenge to us. We wanted to figure out how to turn this change into something that consumers would be excited about. And so that was kind of our logic behind doing. We have the weapons cache boxes now that all of our accessories come in, so that you end up with these boxes that have everybody's name and everybody's numbers, and they change color for the factions, and that becomes kind of a bonus with that. We've been printing all of that tissue paper with the logos to make it more of kind of a special unboxing experience. So I think that continuing kind of down those learnings to figure out what people are responding well to, what people are not responding as well to, that we could potentially implement any kind of changes on in the future.
Hi, everybody. Again, congratulations on not only the success of the Hiss Tank, but your debut on the silver screen recently. That's very.
Thank you. It was not gonna lie, that was a really, really weird moment for us. So we went. Chris was in our theater with us, and so there were maybe 15 people that we knew from work plus Chris, and maybe 6 people sitting kind of behind our group. And Lenny and I walked into the theater halfway through when our video was on, and everybody who worked with us went, look at this. So they all whipped their phones out, right? And then I was looking around, and everybody behind them who I did not know also whipped their phones out. And it was a really weird moment. And then one of our photographer, Matt, texted us, and he was like, hey guys, this just showed up on a G.I. Joe fan group on Facebook. And it was a picture of me and Lenny standing in the movie theater that somebody we didn't know had taken. And
I'm hoping it was Fred. Our sculptor was there with one of Corey's sculptors that he manages was there. So I'm hoping it was Fred.
Yeah. Fred, really hoping to. Or it was one of the other really wonderful people that we ended up meeting later that evening. But holy smokes, was that a weird experience for me?
That's awesome.
I'm sorry, I totally interrupted you. Please continue. I was very excited.
No, that's great. I love it. So I think we're a little more than 3 years into the HasLab experience, and we have seen some that have moved forward and some that have not. As you guys are putting together a program like this, what are the learnings you've had from the other ones? How much of that creation comes from you guys? How much of it kind of comes from the HasLab teams? And just kind of what are the learnings that you have from success or failure of other ones that you guys wanted to make sure were kind of baked into this so it would be as successful as possible?
It's interesting this time around because the Hiss and some of the ones coming up are the first HasLabs to not be done by each brand team. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Emily, it was kind of born out of HasLabs take a lot of work. A of work. Like the Sky Striker, even though it is like a replica creation, it does have updates and it has a lot of engineering that has to happen.
And it was all new tooling, so it wasn't like we were just pulling 40-year-old tools and like polishing them and calling it a day.
Right. So the engineer and I at the time, it took, I would say, from a resource standpoint of our time, it started taking close to 50% of our time. And a classified figure takes a lot of love. So I think the company from a whole saw that, and it was like the resource spend is actually it's going to damper some of the brand team's threshold. I'm the only designer on GI Joe, so like if my time gets taken away from a special project, it's a lot. And then a special project that we run the risk of not making these things. So it could have been 50% of my time spent not followed through on. So I think that was it's almost like a project management thing where they're like, we need to do something about this so it works out. But then I think because of our work on other HasLabs, I've worked on Unicron, I worked on Sky Striker, I worked on this one, and I feel like I had my toes in other ones because just being around. I learned a lot from a design standpoint of just reading comments and then reading comments from other teams and stuff. Because if you didn't notice anything about Emily and I, we're obsessed with our jobs. So seeing what the other brands are doing and stuff like that, to kind of take that in like a sponge and then learn, and then from experience, learn from other campaigns that we have done ourselves. I think we applied it here, and it was really cool that like the team could focus on making the thing, and we can like kind of like be like, hey, this is the problems we ran into, or some of the pitfalls that we want to help you avoid so that you don't have to deal with that, so you can focus on the thing. Because what's important here is the product, right? Like, like I'm a workaholic, but like so for me, I'm like product. But at the end of the day, like people's time is important too, right? So it's like the fact that the way it played out the way it did, we've learned a lot, and we've learned how to manage that, like people resourcing, and then some of the, I want to say, issues that can come up on a product that might not even happen. And it could like really damage productivity of other products. So.
But I think that that speaks to kind of the commitment of Hasbro to the HasLab process, and how excited we get that we do want to have basically a team that is dedicated to working on these larger scale projects so that they can be done thoughtfully, and they can be done thoroughly. And like Lenny said, these take a ton of time. And if you're trying to also manage an entire product line, it becomes a lot. And so having a team that is really focusing on these and other special projects it's really special to be able to be part of that.
Yeah. And there's animatronic items at Hasbro that's the designer's project. Mm-hmm. Right. That's how much work goes into some of these single items. Right. And if you even look at like consumer product industry, like a team of designers work on one item. So it's definitely having a HasLab team come in and like focus it. Like it's huge from a resource management standpoint.
I bet. Yeah.
Right. That was a boring answer, but
no, I love it. I love how the substance gets made, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. All right, Brett, your turn.
Thank you. I'll repeat what everyone says. Congrats on the fantastic launch. Kind of similar to what the last question is can you go into maybe some of the details as to like what some of those specific lessons you've learned from the past HasLabs? And the other would be it's a different team, but is the process different in developing the product?
I think so. In terms of, maybe Lenny, I'll do lesson and you'll do process.
Yeah, perfect.
So I think that in one of the lessons that we have learned is to really kind of take on the GI Joe team personally is to really take a look with a fine-tooth comb about making sure that the items that we are doing are dream items. So moving forward, we want these to be items that you can't necessarily go out and buy on eBay, that maybe have not been re-released before, that these are truly special things that are unique opportunities that when you see it, you go, oh my God, I can't not have that. Because the number of comments that we saw where people finally saw this His Tank model and they all went, oh my God, I wasn't going to buy that, but I can't not buy that. That is exactly the feeling that we are trying to give everybody who sees these HasLab projects. That's going to be my lesson learned. Lenny for process.
Process wise, I think in general it was different here too, because like I mentioned, like it wasn't us that was doing I did the figure, but it wasn't me that was doing the design work of the HISS tank itself. Also different. We designed a HISS tank about 3 years ago. We were like, I want to make a HISS tank. And I was like, I asked my director at the time, like, can I do a HISS tank? And he's like, yeah, dude, make a HISS tank. It'd be sweet. So we did one, and there was no plans.
Do you ask him in that voice?
That's how I talk. That's actually my real voice. I'm talking to you in a business voice right now. Hey, man. Anyways, but so we had gone through a lot of like what we thought would be cool and all that sort of thing. So this is a little different animal where like we've always had it as a dream. But with that in mind, so having had some background of actually doing a design study, working with another team to do it, it was really cool actually, because it was like I could take a step back a little bit and like kind of like see the forest for the trees. Is that how that term goes? And kind of see where a designer is kind of like doing the whole process, and then coming in as the classified G.I. Joe expert to kind of be like, okay, so here's where we can go when we can't go, and then learning where to kind of let things happen for a little bit, and then from a critical eye, see what the consumer needs. And that's a lot of time from a design standpoint, how we kind of approach things. It's like, what is needed by the consumer, and then what is going to benefit the brand, so we can keep making this cool stuff. So it was interesting. It was a very cool collaborative process. Really, it's like we keep on calling it's like the happy family. Like I love that team. I was like, can you make all my vehicles? I was like buzzing his chops earlier. But I hope that answers it. But I think it was a lot of like collaboration, and then always kind of putting the needs of the consumer in mind when we made design decisions. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Last one on the first pass is Scott.
Hey guys. Again, I can't say enough about the HISS tank HasLab project. One, it's a dream come true to see such a big vehicle get reimagined. But how amazingly it looks, and the fact that you guys hit like your first stretch goal. Hey, let's get 8,000. You didn't mean 8,000 tonight, but we took it so seriously. We made it happen. It really blows me out of the water how well it was received, and makes me even more like giddy, thinking like, well, if we could fully fund that in a day, what will you give us next? Like, what are your thought processes? Like, well, they seem to be very hungry. How hungry? Well, we're completely funded, and we've already opened a stretch goal. I mean, that's... I'm sure that wasn't quite expected for the day. You guys, we got a week. We can hit this in a week. But to hit it in an amount of hours before the sun went down is got to be something spectacular to feel on your side.
Emily, I think I'll let you feel a lot of this, but I think something to note, like we really approached this modestly. Like we wanted to make a vehicle that was obtainable for the collector consumer, and it fulfilled a need. Because like I think I mentioned in the stream where I was like, this starts building the world. Like our whole goal was to make the classified G.I. Joe world. And like if you play with it, or if it's just on your shelf as like a set piece, it's an instant set piece. Especially when you turn it around, you can put troops inside of it and all that. But like between the price point, its features, all the details, which kind of led to the needs of the consumer, we wanted to make a fair product that was quality. So that's where the price point and all the features and all that kind of like sync together. So yeah, that's the caveat to think about, like when we're making stuff and what we could make in the future. So Emily, you want to add on to that, or?
I think that was good. Yeah. Unless there's anything else specific that we'd like to know. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I, for one, with it being a HasLab project, it means you have to back it to get it. You're not going to get it any other way, which then leads us to a lot of like sadness that we won't get a Crimson HISS tank. And of course, that's on a lot of our grail list for collectors, but the fact that we have a black one, and well, we certainly would love to have a red one to go with the black one. Just throwing it out there.
So what I will say is that you won't ever see this Hiss tank again. That doesn't necessarily mean that you will never see any other iterations of Hiss tanks in the future. So
I just bought you a cat toy. Give me your address. You just got a cat toy.
So I would think that, never say there have been so many different iterations of different G.I. Joe products over the years. And that everybody, depending on, when you started playing with G.I. Joe, you have a different Hiss tank that you fell in love with. That was the one that you were playing with. And so we really do want to kind of continue appealing to as many of those different groups as possible. So just because we are doing a black one for the HasLab does not mean that you will not eventually see other colorways potentially in the the Don't quote me on that.
The septic tank is coming, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Septic tank is coming.
I love the Warriors. Oh, what a phenomenal line of just weird products. But
we had a long conversation about that, by the way. The whole there are a lot of types of Hiss tanks, and it was I can't say much, but it was a very long conversation back and forth because it was you have to consider that, So I won't say more, but it was a long conversation.
Scott, are you inside of a Hiss tank right now?
Sorry?
Yes, I am. Actually, I'm driving my own Hiss tank currently. It's secondhand. I bought it from a Dreadnought with a handshake deal. But yes,
the lights don't work either.
No.
Secondhand Hiss is a really good band name.
Yeah.
We are Secondhand Hiss.
I'm in if you're in, Lenny.
Yeah, all right, I'm in.
I'm glad to hear about 2 more figures that we have coming along in the pipeline. Dreadnought Ripper, of course, we're really happy with Zartan that we've gotten. I just keep buying it. I don't care how many Zartans you throw at me. I'm going to keep buying that guy. But to get an additional Dreadnought now, and to hear it's Ripper, I can't wait to tell Neil Ross that he's finally getting his classified figure.
We got to get in. They're very important to the world, right? So Dreadnoughts I love Dreadnought.
Just out of interest, with the development reveals, are we allowed to say that now, or do you guys plan to drop that information in a different way?
Oh, I mean, we'll probably end up posting it on social eventually, but you guys are welcome to say it. That's fine.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Right now, there's a fury of thumbs on Twitter.
Yep.
I'm really almost at a loss because so many other people have already said some of the great things that I wanted to say about this project. With it being a troop builder, do you think that was one of the reasons for the success of the HasLab Hiss tank? Because a lot of guys that I know were I bought 2, 3, 5 tanks. They really went all in with numbers per HasLab that we probably haven't seen since Sentinel.
Yeah, I absolutely do, because we do see, and I think that at the beginning of the line, we may have underestimated the G.I. Joe community's dedication to troop building, because holy smokes, I see it, armies of alley vipers and bats and ninjas, and it's so cool to see what is basically this collection that people have put together. Yeah. So I do think that factored in, because it's something that we thought was really special, and we wanted to get to bring that in a bigger scale too.
A fan sent me a picture of 20 bats stacked, and he said, halfway done.
Perfect.
I was my dude, my wife would kill me if I bought that many figures in one shot.
You just got to buy one every paycheck or something.
Yeah, you got to be sly about it.
I personally know more people than I have fingers that have hundreds of bats and alley vipers and Cobra soldiers, hundreds. And
very flattering to see it. It's we as a team, we put a lot into it. So see that and see that it's bringing joy to a lot of people. That's it's the best like payback for like the work we do. It's really cool.
All right, everyone, not to jump in here, but we are running low on time, and I'd love to get people the chance to ask another question as fast as we can. So it's going to start at the top again. And Chris, do you want to ask a quick question?
I'm multitasking again, trying to get information out at the same time as doing the question. Yes, I would love to ask another question. Thank you very much, Justin. Okay, so coming back a little, well, we've kind of talked a lot about the HasLab, so I might push that off a little bit for this other question. I know we've had so much product shown off and up for pre-order over the last month, and this just sounds really greedy. But what will the frequency of live events look like for the rest of the year? Because I'm thinking Yojo July, Yojo August, Serpentor September, Yojo October Guard, Yojo Vember, and of course Yo Ho Hojo Christmas. That way you can be doing live events every week. For the rest of the year.
Powerful.
Round of applause for Chris on that one. Round of applause. Round of applause.
The
Well
dad
done.
puns. You just blasted out a bunch of dad puns. That was
basic. That's what I do. Yeah.
I think that so you'll definitely see us on air a little bit less after Yojo June. Please keep in mind that when we get compared to the fan lines on Star Wars and Marvel and Transformers, our line is a lot smaller than theirs is. And there is definitely an expectation that when you see us, we will be pre-ordering and revealing some kind of new product. And our line isn't big enough yet to be able to do that with that much frequency, which we're excited for it to eventually get to that point, but unfortunately it's not quite there. So we will be doing, we'll be at least doing some kind of live streaming events during Comic-Con next month. So I think that will probably be one of the touch points. And then you'll probably see us on something before then, because we'll talk about the HasLab at some point, I would think. Let's get through this weekend first. You guys went a lot faster on this project than we thought, so we thought we'd have a little bit more time. So we're scrambling on the back end. But in the best way possible, please allow me to complain that you funded this too fast, and I needed a little bit more time to write social copy or get social copy out. So you'll definitely see us at Comic-Con. Likely for a couple of things in the fall, at least we'll have some touch points. So more information on that to come.
Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Cool. Justin, do you want to ask a second question?
Sure, I'd love to. So you mentioned kind of, as you were talking about the HasLab HISS a little bit, which ties into some other questions that I had about story. You mentioned this is kind of unveiling the G.I. Joe world, so to speak. Is there going to be an opportunity that we can read or visualize what this new G.I. Joe classified world is? Will there be story elements that are woven in any other media and any other formats beyond just some snippets on some packages here and there, especially the Cobra Island exclusives? Just curious kind of how that story is going to be told visually.
Currently no plans on that, but we are always looking for kind of new ways to expand the brand and expand the story. So potentially stay tuned on that in the future.
Great.
Our photography, I think.
Yeah, it's really the photography.
It's really photography that we're doing it through, right? So it's like we're creating a love letter to G.I. Joe, essentially classified. So through the photography, we create like a little narrative, like when Duke getting captured at Cobra Island and stuff like that. So
cool. All right. And don't worry, y'all, you're not going to be in the same exact order as the first time around. Eric, I know you were second last time, so I'm going to pass it to you for your next question, but don't freak out if you're not in the same exact order as the first way through.
So we've got a question from our followers and from our listeners that's been pretty much the consistent question that they've asked. The Joe team has many victories against logistic hardship since the launch of the classified line. Do you guys see a light at the end of the tunnel for any US-based shipping delays?
Yeah, I think so. Let me rephrase that. Shipping issues are still going to definitely be a thing, but what many people saw in the last couple of days is people started getting shipping notifications on Crocmaster and Fiona, on Storm Shadow, on Spirit, on the Cobra Officer. And so we are starting to see what we will be happy to acknowledge we're not happy to acknowledge any of it, but we will acknowledge a very long drought of G.I. Joe figures. And so now what you are seeing is basically there were 6 months of product delays. And so these were figures that in a perfect world would have come out in February, guys, like absolutely bonkers. But what that means is that now we have figures that would have come out in April that are kind of going to be shifting to more of an October timeframe of this year. And so there will not be another 6 months of no product like we saw in the spring. Now, basically, we're just backfilling fall with all of the spring products that was supposed to come out earlier this year. So again, we thank all of you for sticking with us. We want to emphasize we are not sitting on giant piles of G.I. Joe products like dragons guarding like case pack boxes of figures. We're shipping things out as fast as we can. Ultimately, it is up to retailers in order to distribute those as to their policies, but that we are working with everybody to move as fast as humanly possible and get figures into your hands. That's why we make toys. We want you to get to experience that happiness and that joy of playing with those figures. So again, thank you for sticking with us. We hope everybody gets a Crocmaster soon.
Hopefully.
Cool. Fran, you are up.
All right. I have tons of questions. I'm going to try to make them real easy for you to answer. Regarding the HISS tank, once we crush the 4 goals, because it's going to the moon, are you guys adding extra goals? And I would like to suggest the Baroness from number 75, the blue-toned, double blue-toned Baroness. It's probably out of the budget, but maybe it's a figure you can stick in there in the future.
I cannot comment on this at this current time. There are currently no plans to add additional tiers, but we're always looking to see how we can potentially improve campaign.
Okay, my other question is about San Diego Comic-Con. Is Sergeant Slaughter going to be available for purchase there? And will the HISS tank be on display?
The HISS tank will be on display. Sergeant Slaughter will be going up for pre-order at Comic-Con.
So he will not be available to purchase on site?
No, we will. Whitney, am I allowed to comment on this?
Yeah.
Great. We will not be selling products on site this year in the Hasbro Pulse booth.
Okay.
So because of supply chain issues, we will be, the majority of our items, I believe, will be pre-orders, but also it's such a schlep to have to try to get all this stuff home, guys. Order it online and have it shipped to your house, and then it'll just magically, show up and you'll be excited.
No more ticket line to get online.
Exactly.
Go to shipping to send it home.
You gotta love San Diego, though. It's beautiful. I enjoy going out there, and I love meeting the team and seeing things in person. It's just great.
Yeah, Emily and I will be there, so we'll be showing off the tank.
This
and
will probably be a year that I miss, but next year I'll definitely be out there.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool.
And not to speak for the other brands, but is that just G.I. Joe that's not going to have anything for sale, or is no Hasbro going to have anything for sale at Comic-Con?
All Hasbro.
We are not doing a purchasing booth for Hasbro at Comic-Con this year, so it will all be online through Hasbro Pulse.
Okay. Yes, and just to add, you'll be able to purchase, but it'll just be all online.
Yeah. Thanks, Whitney.
I got one last question for the HISS Tank HasLab. Are the weapons racks removable? Can you take that out to add the figure for more room, get the figure in there?
So currently in the model, it is. And we were looking at, so originally the build of the back was going to be, the weapon rack was going to be on the far wall. And we were going to put 2 jump seats. But what ended up happening was, because of the scales of the figures, we actually used a bat, because a bat's like a good, big, but not too big figure form. And it ended up being very cramped inside, and it was kind of becoming cattywampus to get the figures in and out of the HISS tank. So then it was rearranged to put the rack on the side. It may be, for engineering reasons, removable, because I think it'll be easier, one, for people to put their weapons in and then pop it back in there, because otherwise taking your big old muffin hands, if you're me, and putting your accessories in there. So we don't have an answer yet.
Is there a space for 2 seats though, Lenny?
Actually, no, because of the turret cup or the turret
of course,
stand.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to get them in and out. It fits the one figure comfortably. If we were to put more in there, it would have got messy. Mark tried though, very, very hard, but it got wonky.
Thank you very much. I have more questions, but I know other people have them. So thank you very much for letting me ask a few questions. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you. James, you're up.
Follow up on something about the HasLab program. now that you guys have found this like kind of sweet spot with the price and features and everything that you can get going, and Emily, you mentioned some smaller vehicles potentially. Is what kind of potential is there for Hasbro to kind of increase the frequency of HasLab for smaller projects, for smaller items? Is that something looking ahead that might be possible, where it's not like a huge, bank breaking project, but if you are doing smaller ones, you could get more of them more frequently?
So that's an interesting question. So one of the things that we were thinking about in terms of HasLabs is there's really kind of two different ways to do HasLabs. So you have like your Galactus or your Razor Crest that are these one really big, exciting thing. And then you have kind of like little fiddly bit unlocks that go with it. Or you have these items that are more kind of collection assortments. And so that's really how we were viewing the Sky Striker, was as more of a collection. It came with 7 O-ring figures. Is that what we were up to? It came with the stand. It came with the vehicles. It came with all of the stuff. And so it wasn't just necessarily like when I'm carrying this His Tank Gray model around right now, it is a giant tank and one dude. When I would carry my Sky Striker around, it was a Sky Striker plane and a giant bag of all of the accessories that it came with, because I couldn't possibly hold it all in my hands. And so I think that it's an interesting way to kind of look at, what necessarily makes up a collection HasLab versus what kind of smaller things could we just do individually on their own. And I think that is something that is definitely, we are still kind of exploring as a company for how the difference between those two things works and what fans will feel is really exciting and a good value proposition for them, because we really want to make sure that you all feel like this is something worth investing in. We want you to get excited about it.
This segment is brought to you by our friends at Chubsy Wubsy Toys. A traditional mom-and-pop toy store in Little Falls, New Jersey, Chubsy Wubsy Toys brings you the best new toys from the brands you love without the hassle of pounding the pavement searching for them at larger retail stores. Visit them in person at 106 Main Street in Little Falls, New Jersey, or online at chubsywubsy.com. That's ChubsyWubsy.com. And tell them Adventures in Collecting sent you.
Yeah, back. How and when do we find out about the remaining stretch goals?
Solid question. After we unlock them, so as we go through, we will be basically updating the website and social with information about those new unlocks. I know we hit one this morning. We're a little bit behind schedule. Our wonderful social human was preoccupied with another project for this morning, so he is working on getting those up. So we'll work on him for end of day. How does that sound?
You're not gonna just whisper it in our ear?
No, I will not, because he'll be very disappointed in me. So, but I think that you'll be excited when you see them. But the plan is, so we're not going to if we hit 14,000 backers tomorrow or whatever, we're not going to make you wait 4 weeks for the last unlock tier. That would just be mean.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, you are up if you have another question.
Yeah, just a quick one. One, I just want to say that cattywampus should be used more often in everyday vernacular. It is a fantastic word. Two, in my particular storyline, if you will, Sergeant Slaughter is totally going to steal the His Tank. So if I so want to put him in it, does he fit? Even if I had to remove a hat, if I have to remove a hat, I just want to make sure he fits so the story can play out properly.
I'm pretty sure he does, because Slaughter and Roadblock are similar heights.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
That's me?
Yes. I don't think with his hat on, though.
Oh, okay. That's cool. He can totally take off the hat. Respect the tank.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy, if you have another question.
Yeah, in the video you two superstars appeared in at the screenings, you guys mentioned that by the end, I think you said the end of 2023, there's going to be 100 classified G.I. Joe figures. Does that mean that we're going to see a big uptick, maybe not before the end of the year, but starting in 2023, in more quarterly releases, or does that mean that we're just going to get like bigger, since we're getting 6 figures per wave now, it's just going to add up quicker?
A little bit of both. As a clarifier, 5 figures per wave on classified.
I'm sorry, 5 figures.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just wanted to make sure nobody was disappointed. But it's a little bit of both. So it'll both add up quicker, but also there are just more figures as we kind of age, I guess, as the line gets a little bit older, we keep people are responding really positively to the line, and so we are being given allowances to make our line bigger and bigger, which is amazing. And so I think that it's really exciting that it'll be kind of a combo of both, but more figures just overall, I guess. And it's not necessarily that there will only be 100 figures by the end of 2020, but that sometime in 2023 we will be hitting the 100th classified figure.
Okay. And lastly, is there any way you could just kind of whisper what the box numbers will be on the His Tank driver and the other figure? No? Okay.
Not yet. But I bet you might be able to guess. It's something that will make you say, ooh, she crafty.
Okay.
All right, Brett, you're up.
Hey, you. So obviously the His Tank is a hit. I think everyone should be probably pretty happy with how quickly it hit its goal and the enthusiastic response. Are you already maybe rethinking things or taking that feedback in and kind of being like, oh, this actually opens up a lot and because it's gone so well?
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the first part of that sentence again?
Yeah. So basically, I mean, since the His Tank has done so well in the day it's been out, I mean, are you already maybe like reevaluating or rethinking future plans based off of like that feedback that it's clearly a wanted project and people are digging the HasLab?
I think that it's been really interesting because we know that Classified Series is a hit, and a lot of people Hasbro also knows that Classified Series is a hit, but this is a really definitive data point that we can take to senior leaders at Hasbro and go, look, man, we've been telling you that everybody loves Classified Series, but did you just see what this team did and what this community did? Because, oh my goodness, this is untapped potential, and we should really just be given free reign to do literally whatever we want. They'll never let us do that. But I think that it's really nice to have that data point to be able to say, we set records officially. I jumped the gun yesterday. I said that it was, but I mean, I had a guess, but the Pulse team has officially vetted that it is the fastest funded HasLab of all time. And so to be able to take that to our leadership teams and say that, I think it's an amazing statistic for us because it says the appetite is here. We need to continue doing things like this, and we need to continue pushing the envelope on what we can do on G.I. Joe, which is amazing. They were going to let us do it anyway, but this will just be like, they'll be extra excited about it now.
Well, it creates internal PR, like at any company, right? Like when there's a success, you learn from those successes, just like you learn from your losses. So I think as we see this success, I think people internally start feeling the buzz, you know?
All right. So, I mean, once again, thank you guys for inviting me. It's phenomenal to get to be here with all these awesome, incredible people that are involved in this community. Before I ask the question, let me just say I am a convert of the classified line, so thank you guys for what you've done. I was not a Joe fan until that 00 Snake Eyes came out and fell in love, and then have followed the line since then. So thank you.
Wow.
The other co-host of our show has been a Joe fan for his life, so it's been a really fun adventure getting to learn, and you guys have been doing a phenomenal job. So with the success of bringing back O-rings, kind of going back, seeing the Stinger released and announced, with the success of the O-rings, are there any plans to revisit 4-inch modern scale, or even we've got the 60th anniversary of 12-inch coming up? Are there any plans to maybe branch out and hit even a specialty figure in those scales?
Come back to me on that one. We're still trying to figure out exactly what we're doing with the line in terms of future kind of things that we'll be able to celebrate. Come back to me on that. I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer at this point, but eventually I will have a better answer for that.
It's fine. We'll get your fashion brand. You know, if we can get that 12-inch, then you can get your shoes.
Perfect. Then you get your little outfit.
Exactly.
One of my big dreams when I was on Power Rangers was I wanted an Astronema doll that had all of the different wigs that you could put on her. And I felt like that would have been a really solid use of Power Rangers time and money. But
we figured out wigs on G.I. Joe. So
yeah.
Lady J was perfect with her different swappable hair and heads. So even if it's unclassified, we can get it working.
Yeah.
Like with the O-ring line, Lenny, and obviously it started really strong with the HasLab Sky Striker.
Mm-hmm.
The release have been quite minimal, like, you know, not as many releases. Are you guys looking at maybe increasing the release on the O-ring line at all? Like, because I'm thinking like I kind of want to get to like, you know, Pythona or unreleased kind of stuff like Ninja Commandos and things like that.
Yeah, so
we're still trying to figure out the release cadence for O-ring. That will be another one that we'll come back to you on.
No worries. I just wanted to kind of make sure I put it out there.
All right. On that note, thank you everybody so much for hanging out with us. We really, really appreciate it. And again, really want to say thank you again to everybody in the community who has backed the His Tank. Like it is a truly record-setting moment for HasLabs at Hasbro and the G.I. Joe community. And so we are so, so, so thankful to be part of a team that gets to make products for such amazing fans. And this truly, truly has been a multiple team effort to make this really come to life. And we think that all of you are going to be really, really excited.
Yeah, the funding, you guys definitely made the funding moment less like, you know, when you watch the movies and NASA's like counting down for the rocket to go up, and then the rocket goes up and there might be a problem, and then everybody's feeling like, oh my God, what have we done? You made it feel like, oh my God, what have we done? So thank you, and thank the community. It's been awesome.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.